Yeah, I'll talk about one main thing, and I think this adds. So Star Wars, I think one of the things is that, again, getting into meta Star Wars, the things that add value to Star Wars is not necessarily let's learn new canon bits, right? Like, look, as much as we love to learn how did Boba Fett get his armor back, and how did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? I'd like to find that out. What did he do in the desert for all those months/years? That stuff's cool sometimes when it's done well. But one of the things that I like that makes Star Wars, like each installment, worth looking at is when it makes you learn something about themes or people. And this one does both because it makes you learn a little bit more about Obi-Wan himself and differentiates him from others who are going through similar struggles, as I'll unpack a little bit. And then also the theme of what it is to lose yourself to the dark side, or what it is to be a good/bad person. Because a lot of the, Joseph Campbell, Hero with a Thousand Faces stuff, there's like this hero's journey and it's very cut and dry. And anymore, that's getting kind of played out. And what's in right now is to have messy gray area characters. And I'm not at all calling Obi-Wan a gray Jedi or something like that. But he is definitely kind of getting rid of dogmatic propositions. He's left the dogma of the Jedi. It's like, the Jedi
now
didn't,
or for always.
the Jedi were rigid, and they brought us Anakin Skywalker, who basically brought us to our knees. Like, I guess I don't need to be that rigid anymore, and I'm going to steal meat from a factory, and I'm going to be a bad guy every once in a while. And it shows us Obi-Wan kind of not descending into depression per se, but I guess sort of losing the thread on being a good person and being able to pull himself back out. I think that's really important. So again, best Star Wars makes you learn more about themes and makes you learn more about people. So here's the thesis statement of Obi-Wan. You can stop at any time. So that's what I learned, sort of, and this was really solidified at the end. You can stop at any time. And I apply this to my life too, because another good thing about Star Wars is when you can think about the moral platitudes, or you can think about the things that happen and apply them to your own life. But it reminds me of like when you get caught in a lie, not necessarily like a little white lie, like, oh, sorry, Chris, I can't record. I'm too busy and I have a baby. And it's, that's a white lie. I just say it once and you don't investigate it. But like when it's a core lie that you have to keep upkeeping for years or for months, or it's like something that you tell at work and then you have to remember that you lied about this and say the right things at the right time. Those things can lead to some guilt or at least some difficulty that you carry with you. But then you can also come clean at any time. And you can also fix it at any time when it become too stressful. Think about Ponzi schemes. There's another one where, like Bernie Madoff, one of the things he talked about is it became increasingly difficult to come clean to his investors because he would get so deep and he would succeed in convincing one group of investors to give more money so he could pay off some people. And every time he did that, it became harder. You know what I'm talking about, Chris? You've ever had a situation like this where you are either lying, or maybe you're not even lying, sometimes you're just having a tough time, and every further day that you get into this tough thing, it's harder to get out of it because you can't admit it, because you're embarrassed that you're this far.
100%. And
It's
you just gotta
depression
hope that it's
too.
gonna end. You just like, well, that it's buried deep enough. No one will ever find it. It's in the backyard. It's now 5 feet deep. I made sure
Yep.
that no one would get there, but then, oh no,
What?
someone goes in 3 feet deep, and you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
they got close. But it's okay. I can dig in that hole again. I can just put it more, and this time I'll be more clever.
I'm not going to say that this is some sophisticated allegory on depression, which I think is actually Stranger Things 4, but that's for a different podcast. There's a parallel to depression because there becomes like a little bit of shame, and the deeper that you get into depression, the harder it is to tell a loved one, and the harder it is to get help, because you are ashamed that you feel this way, or you might feel like my life is really good on paper, like I can list off all the good things, so I'm ashamed to be having these feelings, so I don't want to tell anybody about it because I know there are plenty of people that have it worse. And then someday you bottom out and you let it slip that you're depressed or that you have certain feelings. And guess what? You usually find love, right? Somebody is coming to you with open arms to talk to you about it, or they want to help you. But in your brain, your depressed brain thinks nobody's ever going to help me because I'm so far gone / such a selfish asshole that I want to talk about this, that nobody's ever going to have compassion for me. And you're wrong. You're obviously completely wrong. I think that's the dark side here. And I think that's why we have this little conversation. And I rewatched this probably 5 or 6 times, the conversation between Anakin / Vader with his helmet half sawed off and Obi-Wan. The conversation is, you know, you're not my failure, or I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. I killed Anakin Skywalker, not you. And there's this moment where Obi-Wan looks at his face for the first time and just sees Anakin again and stops trying to beat the shit out of him. And then, it's like, oh my God, Anakin, I'm so sorry, and has this moving monologue about it. And then he realizes he's so far gone. And Anakin is still like in this, like, he's almost like LARPing at this point, because it's like, he is Anakin Skywalker. He's in there. But he's like, I am who remains. Like, that sounds like a really dramatic LARPy thing to say. Like, Anakin is gone, I am what remains. Like, that sounds really overly dramatic. And that's the thoughts of somebody who thinks that nobody could ever accept me now that I've fucked up this bad. And the thesis statement of Obi-Wan Kenobi is, you become Darth Vader when you think that. And that at any time you can pull out and not do that. Obi-Wan learns this in this series, and Reva learns this in this series. Darth Vader does not until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So okay, let me give you some space to breathe here. Let's interrogate that for a little bit.
So one of my thoughts has been, one of my questions is he trying to convince himself that he actually is dead, Anakin?
Yeah, Anakin
is
himself.
Yeah, like is he trying to convince himself by saying that to Obi-Wan? And I think because he wanted to say that to him, because he wanted him to feel pain. He wanted him to feel like, don't worry, it's not even me that you have to blame. Or, like, I guess he is saying it is me for you. Actually, that kind of
Well, he says, I am not your failure.
So that releases Obi-Wan actually from his burden in a way, right? So I guess I was like taking that in the wrong direction at first.
Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan's an asshole in a way, because he left Anakin to die, in his mind, a very painful death, when he should have just gone and sliced his head off, and just been done with it. So Obi-Wan's kind of an asshole in a way. I'm sure he feels some pain from that, because thinking up until episode 2, he thinks he's dead, and he probably died in a very, very painful way. But then I think other than that, Obi-Wan's completely justified in taking him out, because he killed children, and he's the most powerful Force user in the galaxy. You're not just going to put him in jail, right? You're like, he's not going to succumb to that, and he's certainly not going to back down and say, I did bad things, and I need forgiveness now, or like, I'm going to come, pay the piper. No, I'm only going to get more powerful, and now I'm going to have a seat of political power because of the Emperor and what he's doing. So it's like, yeah, I have to take this guy out. And then instead of just killing him humanely, he lets him burn to death on the side of a volcano. So there's the part that Obi-Wan should feel bad about, but the rest of the stuff he shouldn't, even though he is harboring it through the series. In one way, he says, I am not your failure. He's letting Obi-Wan off the hook. In another way, I think he's letting on that he's still Anakin. In fact, the synopsis on Wikipedia says, realizing Anakin has completely embraced his identity as Darth Vader. I don't know where this is from, but realizing Anakin has completely embraced his identity as Darth Vader it's LARPing, right? because I don't think that the dark side makes you schizophrenic or have personality disorder.
No, it doesn't.
That's not the vibe I'm getting, even though, you know, they talk in terms like that, and they do that in the original trilogy when they say, you know, like, I I am your father. It's like, well, no, Darth Vader's not my father. Technically, Anakin Skywalker is my father. No, I am Anakin Skywalker. I'm just LARPing as Darth Vader. And I'm so far into this LARP that I killed children and lots of innocent people and am really a bastard for the Emperor. And I'm so far gone, nobody's ever going to forgive me and nobody's ever going to
Yeah,
love me again. So I have to just get worse, right?
yeah.
It's just like depression, right? I just have to keep getting worse because I suck so bad. Like, in this way, he sees his friend who's unwilling. I mean, Obi-Wan sees his friend who is unwilling to take the steps to atone, right?
So is he seeking comfort by fighting Obi-Wan then?
I think so. And then he kind of like, he has this vulnerable moment. You'll notice his face is blue because it's only lit up by Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns red because he's like, all right, now that I've given you the monologue and I've shown you my true self, because I'm still in here, Anakin is still in here, I I have to LARP still, because it's for the Emperor and it's for my own good. It's for my own survival. I will implode on myself if I don't LARP as the galaxy's biggest bad guy. So now I'm going to destroy you. And then Obi-Wan just like, I have to go. I'm gonna go, which is really funny. Like, I think it's only because he's incapacitated that that Obi-Wan is able to do that.
And I think for Obi-Wan, it was. Did he have confirmation that he couldn't save him anymore? So there's nothing to.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the episode, he said to Reva, "You're free. I'm also free." So the
Yep.
battle that he had with Anakin or Darth Vader made him feel that he was actually free of the guilt.
And so there's my next point is Obi-Wan and Reva learn that you can stop at any time. And there's slightly different lessons, right? So Obi-Wan learns what does Obi-Wan stop? So Obi-Wan is mopey when we meet him. He's feeling sorry for himself. He goes and talks to Owen Lars, and Owen's like, okay, yeah, you should feel sorry for yourself because you suck. And he wasn't expecting that. And he wants to be in, you know, Luke's life, and he can't. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna go steal more meat. And
I need to
you know,
train Luke. You won't let me train him.
and I think this is probably the moment in which the internet bros are like writing this show off because he's just Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi again. He's cut himself off from the Force, kinda, and he's just feeling sorry for himself. But then we see by the end of this is like that is he has a way different trajectory than what Luke has. It's funny because it just seems like all of these Jedi kind of feel sorry for themselves at one point. Like Yoda just fucks off to Dagobah and just hangs out at a swamp. Obi-Wan's, you know, doing his thing that we see right now. Luke does the thing on Octo and, you know, does all the stuff that the internet bros hate. Um, Man, what a whiny bunch. But
Yeah.
the lesson that he learns is
Imagine
he
if
doesn't, you
imagine
don't
if you
have to
were a
do that.
LARPer
You can
and
stop at any time. No, sorry, Chris.
right.
Let me give you some space.
No, I was just gonna say, like, imagine if there's two different ways to LARP. One way is the dark side,
Hmm.
and if you're LARPing towards the good side, are you just trying to feel like your life has meaning, like you can make a change, like you can make an impact, and then this all happens, and it's like, oh, sorry, nope, you can't. Everything is darkness.
Yep.
But
You
like,
can't do it.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like sort of they kind of wanted to feel, but I guess maybe a lot of Jedi didn't have a choice because they were like 5 when they got recruited.
Yep. And Obi-Wan learns, again, you can stop at any time. Thesis statement is I can stop feeling sorry for myself at any time. And he does that with the Leia mission, really, because now it's like I can't just feel sorry for myself. I have to go do shit. And he learns a lot from Leia in that point. He kind of gets his groove back by having to go get her and try to save her. You know, how Obi-Wan got his groove back, which was like a really wonderful bait and switch, honestly, by Disney, because you watch the previews and you think this is going to be about him protecting Luke, and the whole thing until the last 10 minutes is about protecting Leia, which is kind of,
Yeah.
I think is actually pretty genius. So we get to that point. He learns that I don't have to be a mope anymore. In fact, I have a job to do. And then that's when he becomes badass Obi-Wan Kenobi again and starts throwing rocks and somehow breaks himself out of an avalanche and that
I
kind of
noticed
stuff.
that too. I noticed I was like, one question I had before I started my rewatch of 4, 5, and 6 was like, what was the key moment for
Yeah.
Obi-Wan? Like there has, because he gets stronger and stronger throughout the last like 3, 4, 5, 6, the last
Ooh,
couple
good point.
episodes. But I was like, usually there's like a moment that really is impactful. And I was like, there probably was another one before this, but big one was when he was in the rocks and he's holding on and he just thinks of Leia.
Yep. And he sees Luke too. I think he gets little things of Luke.
I
And he
mostly just saw
remembers he
Leia,
has
but
a
there might,
job to
might
do.
knew there was Luke too. Yep. And then he remembered his job.
And that's when, and presumably that's also when he unlocks the ability to see Qui-Gon at the end, is because he realizes that he became very inward and selfish and feeling sorry for himself. Because when you feel sorry for yourself, it doesn't do anything for anyone. Like it's just for
No.
you. And as again, that's like kind of
Yeah.
light side LARPing. Whereas I'm a really bad guy and I can't have to keep being a bad guy. That's dark. That's dark side LARPing. Again, you can stop LARPing at any time. And then, so let's shift to Riva, because we've talked about Obi-Wan learns his lesson. He learns he can stop being a mope at any time, and he doesn't have to go down that route where it's almost like in direct conversation with the Last Jedi in that way. Riva thinks that she has to be a bad person too, almost going down the route. And there's they have a lot of shots between her and Darth Vader where they look the same, like they have the same kind of silhouette, because she has a robe on and it kind of covers her head like a helmet almost. And I think they're trying to do some back and forth there between Vader killing younglings and then her trying to kill Luke. And she comes back from the desert not having killed Luke, and she's losing it and she's crying. And she thinks that she failed because she was tempted to do it, and she thinks she's just like him. And that's when we all have this cathartic moment where, he had learned his lesson that we just talked about. She was just learning her lesson, and he was saying, no, you learned that you can stop at any time. Like you can, we're here. Like you've fucked up, huge, big time. You've done bad things, but you can stop at any time, and you can atone for them now. It's hard work, right? Telling somebody you have depression is really hard work, and it is a little humiliating. But
Yeah.
then same thing, like telling somebody that you don't feel like being a bad person anymore and you don't feel like killing children, that's a good thing. Like that is a
Yeah.
hard thing to have to admit to somebody, but ultimately it is a good thing. And so they both learn this, and that's when I think you said the point there where we are both free now. In other words, we've both learned that we don't have to keep doing this.
Yeah. I think another way that I could phrase it, you could stop it. You can stop at any time is that you should stop at any time.
Yeah. You
Like
should stop. Yeah.
you should stop anytime. There's no
And it
reason
does
not to
get
stop.
harder as it go. Vader is so far gone. Yeah. It's, where he's at right now is really hard to atone for.
Okay, that's cool. It's like it
And
gets
then
harder the longer you wait.
it gets harder the longer you wait. So literally you
The
have to
longer
do
you
it right
keep
now.
doing it.
It's like,
It's like
how
what they
people
say,
think
when
like,
you
I'm
dig a
waiting for the
hole.
right time to tell somebody, like, if it's a breakup, it's like, I'm waiting for the right time. Like next week is going to be even worse.
Yep.
Like if you string this along, or I'm waiting for the right time to tell someone I'm unhappy with them or something like that. Like if you wait another week, it's going to be worse for you. You have to do it right now. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing with Riva, is like, you could be like Vader, and the only way that you can atone for yourself is to basically get yourself electrocuted by the Emperor, um, while you're trying to save your son. And you, at that point, you were so far gone that was your only way out. It's going to get harder. So do it now. Do it soon.
Yeah.
Don't
Do
wait.
it. Don't wait. Yeah.
I think that is a really cool message.
I
Honestly,
think it is too.
from, even if you're thinking of it as an allegory to mental health, or if you're thinking of it as just simply character development for these two guys.